You know, sometimes the most amazing stories are hidden in the most ordinary places. What if I told you that a town's real story isn't in some dusty old history book, but in its plumbing? Turns out the infrastructure right under our feet has a pretty fascinating story to tell if you just know where to look.
Yeah, I know, it sounds a little out there, right? But we're going to put it to the test. Today, we're going to be detectives, and this is our big question. Can we actually decode a community's geology, its history, even its daily struggles, just by looking at a local plumber's website?
So, what's our key piece of evidence? Get this. It's not some declassified document or an academic paper. It's the service page for Westwego, Louisiana, from a New Orleans area plumbing company. We're going to treat this page not as an ad, but as a kind of field guide to the town's secret life. Okay, first things first. Our investigation has to start with the forces you can't see, the powerful, invisible pressures that are shaping everything in Westwego, its environment. This is, quite literally, the foundation for all the problems we're about to uncover.
It all comes down to the dirt. Literally, Westwego is defined by two major geographical facts: a super high water table and soil that's just packed with clay. So instead of thinking of the ground as a solid rock, you got to picture it more like a slow-moving, waterlogged sponge.
And here's the thing about that kind of ground. It's not stable. It's always on the move, swelling up when it's wet, shrinking down when it's dry. Now imagine you've built a house on a concrete slab right on top of that. That movement is a total nightmare. It causes the whole foundation to shift, and that puts immense stress on the rigid pipes running through it until snap.
And believe it or not, that's just the beginning. The website paints this picture of a full-scale environmental assault. You're right next to the Mississippi River and Bayou Signet, so the ground is always saturated. The air is humid and subtropical, which corrodes pipes from the outside. The water itself is hard, chock full of minerals that clog everything. And oh, right, there's also hurricane season.
Okay, so you've got this constant, full-on attack from the environment. The big question is, what actually gives? What breaks? Well, this next section gets into the specific, almost predictable ways that the town's older infrastructure starts to fail. Let's start with the drain lines, the pipes taking all the wastewater out of the house. In homes built back in the 60s and 70s, they used cast iron. And here's the wild part. These pipes corrode from the inside out. For decades, all that wastewater flowing through literally eats away at the metal, until one day the whole pipe just collapses. And you can imagine the mess that causes.
And what about the fresh water coming in? Well, in homes built before 1980, you're often looking at galvanized steel pipes. Remember that hard water we talked about? All those minerals start building up on the inside of the pipes. It's exactly like cholesterol in an artery. Over the years, the opening gets narrower and narrower. Your water pressure drops to a trickle, and weak spots form that are just waiting to burst.
And if you want to see what this actually costs people in real dollars, this is it. Just look at a water heater. Normally, you'd expect one to last a good 10, maybe 12 years. In Westwego, you're lucky if you get 6 to 8. That same hard water scale builds up inside the tank, killing its efficiency and causing it to fail years ahead of schedule. So, let's just pull it all together. What are the top plumbing nightmares for someone living in Westwego according to this website? You've got sudden, hidden leaks under your foundation. You've got those old cast iron drains completely collapsing. Water heaters that just die on you. And the classic, massive tree roots sniffing out water and just totally choking your sewer lines.
All right, enough doom and gloom about all the problems. Let's talk about the solutions. This is where you can see the plumber's website shift from just diagnosing the issues to laying out a very specific battle plan, one that's designed for the reality of living in Westwego.
And this table here, it lays it out so clearly. These aren't just a random list of services they offer. It's a targeted response system. You've got your emergency services, right? The stuff you need to stop the immediate damage from a burst pipe. Then you have the big replacement jobs, like a whole home repipe, which is like curing the underlying disease. And finally, you have maintenance, to manage the chronic stuff, like root intrusion. Take slab leaks, for example, one of the absolute worst problems for homeowners there. They don't just show up with a jackhammer and hope for the best. No way. It's more like surgery. First, they use electronic gear to pinpoint the exact location of the leak. Then, they make the smallest possible opening to get to it. And finally, they do a targeted repair. It's a high-tech solution for what is, at its heart, a geological problem.
So when you put all of this together, the unique problems, the custom-built solutions, it all points to one big idea. In a place like Westwego, you don't just need a good plumber, You need someone who's also part historian, part geologist, and part strategist.
And they say it perfectly on their site with this quote. I love this. We know the plumbing fingerprint of this community. That's so good. It's not just about knowing how to fix a pipe, it's about deeply understanding the unique identity of the infrastructure in this one specific place.
So what does a plumbing fingerprint even mean? It's not just a cool marketing phrase. It means they know street by street what's probably under the ground. They know that if you live along 4th Street, you're likely sitting on old cast iron. They know that homes near the Harvey Canal are extra vulnerable to that high water table. They know the Salaville neighborhood is a hot spot for slab leaks. That's a level of expertise you just can't get from a manual.
So just by digging into a local plumber's website, we've pieced together this whole story of a town's ongoing battle with its own geography and its own history. And it really leaves you with a final thought, doesn't it? What about your town? What kinds of environmental stresses? What kind of aging materials? What unique fingerprint is shaping the world right under your feet? What's the hidden story that your local infrastructure is waiting to tell?